Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Terry Tremere, and today I'm going to be the moderator for this session on sustainability, encouraging excellence, sustainable community recognition programs. And thank you again to Honda for sponsoring this session for us today. The session, what we hope to be able to do is to talk a little bit to three of our panelists. I will introduce them here in a moment, but we'll talk to the panelists. We'll give them a little bit of time to give some presentations, and the rules of the game today will be they'll speak for a little bit, after which, if you want, jot down any of the questions or anything, because after all three speak, we will allow for some questions and answers. And if you use the chat box, then we'll monitor that and make certain that we have some good questions to ask our panelists for today. But again, my name's Terry Tremere. I used to be employed at Ohio EPA. I am now retired and responsible for the Division of Materials and Waste Management. I've been retired for about 3 years, and I've got over maybe 30 plus years, 36 plus years experience in government and natural resources and waste management and recycling and the whole bit. So I'm really thrilled to be here and really honored to be able to facilitate the discussions that we're going to have today. The session today, as I said earlier, is encouraging excellence and the sustainable community recognition programs. And today our panelists include three types of recognition programs, or three what I would call representative areas of programming that we would hold up as examples of how there are programs out there that are encouraging excellence, and in fact have encouraged these different types of programs enough to engage people, engage communities, and actually build a momentum for the future. But today our speakers will be Elizabeth Ellman. She's with the city of Bexley, and David Mogi. He is with Wyatt County in Atlanta, Georgia, and that's all part of the Atlanta Regional Commission. And then Bill Narodsky, which he is with the Ohio EPA, and he'll be responsible for talking to us a little bit about the E3 program and the E3C program that is now being undertaken there. As I said, today our discussions they will do some presentations, and then during the presentations, if you could kind of hold your questions, jot them down in the chat box, and we'll keep track of those, and then we'll have about 20 minutes or so to have some further discussions as the session goes on. But first up, I think we're going to get started with David Mogi. I would ask David to introduce himself and to get going with his presentation at this time. David?
Sure. Good afternoon. Certainly happy to be here to have this discussion with you today, not only about ARC Green Communities, but also highlight some of Gwinnett County's participation. Again, my name is David Mogi, and I'm the Division Director for the Facility Construction Division for Gwinnett County. And I also serve on the county's multi-departmental sustainability committee, and have kind of taken a leadership and liaison role in the county's participation in the Green Communities program. So as a disclaimer here, in my day-to-day role, I tend to focus on facility and facility construction related issues, but I've tried to take a little wider view on our sustainability program for this presentation and discussion today. So looking forward to, we'll just jump right into it. Slide, please. All right. So the Green Communities Program is a voluntary certification program that helps local governments implement measures that reduce their environmental impact. The program aims to create a greener, healthier, and more livable region. And to achieve this, the program is designed to help local governments reduce environmental impact of the government through its buildings, fleets, and practices, and then encourage their community to reduce its environmental impact, and also provide public education and outreach on sustainability issues. Since 2009, 18 jurisdictions in the 10-county region have been certified as green communities, and so a lot of good participation in the program region-wide. Slide, please. There are 4 levels of certification you can achieve in the Green Communities Program. There's platinum level, gold, silver, and bronze. And then local governments can earn certification points in the program by implementing sustainable policies and practices in the following categories: green building, energy efficiency, green power, water use reduction and efficiency, trees and green space, transportation, recycling and waste reduction, land use, education, and innovation. And in the next few slides, we'll highlight some of the examples of what we're doing here in Gwinnett County. Slide, please. So provide a little context. Gwinnett County, fairly large county. We're approaching a million in population. We're 437 square miles, and we're the gateway to Metro Atlanta from the north and the northeast. We're home to 16 municipalities, and our government structure includes 16 departments. Slide. So Gwinnett's journey began in 2010 in the Green Communities Program and continues to the present. In 2010, we earned bronze certification, in 2012, silver, 2014, gold, and in 2018, we were awarded the platinum certification. And we're very proud of this. In 2018, we were actually the first county in the program to achieve the platinum certification. There's a few other cities that have achieved it, but we were very proud to be the first county government to achieve it. With the platinum certification, we have achieved points in 55 measures, and there are about 75 measures available in the program total. Slide, please. So kind of highlight some of our accomplishments in some of the various categories. So again, as in the construction business, I tend to steer towards facilities related achievements, but I'll do my best to talk about some others as well. We have a policy driven lead construction program. Since 2007, we've built 8 lead facilities, 3 of which achieved gold certification. Our first one was actually a building known as our Environmental and Heritage Center, which was certified gold in 2007. And then currently we have three lead buildings in construction, and we actually have 2 more in design. So it's a pretty robust program. We also have made some efforts in brownfield and grayfield development, and we've completed 3 various development infill projects and brownfield remediations to date. Slide, please. Next up, some achievements in energy efficiency and green power. We completed energy audits on all county buildings and implemented energy efficiency improvements to include lighting upgrades, lighting control equipment, HVAC equipment, temperature optimization, and implementation of energy management policies. We've installed cool roofs at multiple facilities. We adopted a night sky ordinance, as far as green power goes, we have a methane gas recapture infrastructure at our F. Wayne Hill Water Reclamation Center. And this creates green power by capturing and using methane gas produced in the sewage treatment process. And this center converts this gas into a fuel source for our natural gas power generator, which is about 2.1 megawatt generator, and produces quite a bit of power saves us about $240,000 annually in power costs. So power generation here is increased through the use of fats, oils, gas, and high strength waste collection, which helps to maximize methane production and further power the generator. Slide, please. In the area of water and green space, we've conducted water audits on all county facilities, which is about 200 facilities in total. And it's anticipated, and we estimate that we'll save about 1.3 million gallons of water per year as a result of these audits and conservation efforts. Gwinnett County was designated a Water First community by the Georgia Department of Community Affairs, which is one of the criteria within the program. Our water department conducts routine water conservation workshops for citizens and businesses, as well as conducts what we call a Water on Wheels program, which is a water education program for grade school children. We maintain an open space and greenways master plan. And then we also recently implemented a development ordinance, which encourages 50% shade coverage on parking lots through kind of landscape development standards. Additionally, we support community gardens and farmers markets. We created a community garden at our Lanier water filter plant, which includes more than 40 plots for residents to rent and maintain. And then we also support farmers markets in the local area by working in partnership with the University of Georgia Extension Office, which is here in the county. If you don't mind, slide please. All right. In transportation and air quality, we've adopted a county vehicle no idle policy. And we've also adopted a complete streets policy in the transportation world that considers bicycle, pedestrian, and transit users of all ages and abilities in the design, construction, and maintenance of transportation projects. This policy includes design criteria that emphasize safety, mobility, and accessibility for all modes of travel. Also in the transportation world, we've developed an intelligent transportation system and traffic control master plan that improves fuel consumption, reduces carbon monoxide emissions, and VOC emissions as well. And the county has established a traffic control center, which has implemented intelligent traffic systems technology, which aims to improve signal timing, and also we've developed some smart corridors in the transportation. And we also have another development ordinance that that recognizes the key benefits of shared, joint, and reduced parking in our development. Next slide. In the recycling and waste reduction, we have your recycling programs at our county facilities for traditional and non-traditional items, and we manage a residential curbside recycling for single-family residents. And one of our accomplishments, one of our areas we're very proud of is we've organized a lot of events for non-traditional residential recycling. We've partnered with an organization known as Gwinnett Clean and Beautiful to offer non-traditional recycling to residents through recycling events, as well as a America Recycles Day event. These non-traditional items include electronics, batteries, cell phones, and compact fluorescent light bulbs. The America Recycles Day event collects household hazardous items from residents. And in 2017 alone, we collected more than 15 tons of tires, more than 3,000 gallons of paint, more than 1,700 pounds of textiles, and more than 200 tons of electronics on the America's Recycled Day. And these were properly recycled and discarded. I believe that's all I have. Thank you.
Excellent, Dave. We've got such incredible programs that you have going on, and I can't wait till we get to some of the questions. And I've got a couple in mind, and one in particular is your recycling program just seems to be pretty phenomenal. So that's true and dear to my heart. So I kind of like that. But as I said, if any one of you have any kind of questions about, and I'll just plant a few seeds right now, any questions about how the program got started, or this recognition program, how has it been for Gwinnett County, and has this opened the doors for some other things into the future? So I'll keep those in mind, and we'll move on to our next speaker. Our next speaker up is Elizabeth Ellman. Elizabeth, you can take it away.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you everyone for joining me. I'm going to first start off by trying to read the room, which is harder to do when you're not all in the same room, but I would appreciate if you could use the chat feature and slide into my DMs, message me directly, give me a number on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being you have your AirPods in and you told people that you are really in a very important meeting, but you're not paying attention at all, to 5 being you're so excited for this presentation that you put on pants to watch. So please message me so I can know how you're doing. That would be spectacular. Thank you so much. All right, next slide. Here we go. All right, so I am here representing the city of Bexley, Ohio. Next slide, thank you. We are a platinum member of Sustainable 2050. Sustainable 2050 is a MORPC initiative. It supports member community sustainability efforts through direct technical assistance, collaboration, and recognition. The program allows communities to benchmark their sustainability efforts and track their progress in achieving sustainability goals. And so while doing all of this, MORPC gains an understanding of the efforts all around Central Ohio that are made to improve the quality of life here. Components of the program include energy, natural resources, economic opportunity, and sustainable neighborhoods. Right now, there are about 25 participating municipalities, as well as a handful of community organizations like the Columbus Metropolitan Library and the County Commissioner's Office, et cetera, and they are also members as well. Next slide, please. Great, so for some background information, Bexley is a small enclave of Columbus. We have a population of about 14,000 people with about 4,400 households. The city is an arboretum, so we have a lot of trees, which is great for 2 reasons. One of which is all of the benefits that trees provide, but also it helps us reduce our energy usage, because when we have Ohio wind and Ohio rain and the branches fall on our power lines, we're without electricity for a few hours until everything gets back up and running. So I think it's a great way to teach us all how to reduce. Next slide, please. We have 4, I think, unique components here in Bexley that work together in our sustainability efforts. So these are our city services, our sustainable infrastructure, and sustainable legislation, as well as the Environmental Sustainability Advisory Committee. And I will detail each of these in the next slide. So the first slide is our city services. This includes the basic trash pickup, our curbside recycling, which will be 30 years old this month. Also yard waste pickup that happens weekly, and every so often these big vacuum trucks come down the street and just sort of like slurp up all of the leaves that people have raked into nice little piles, and it's just so phenomenal and fun. So that's happening soon as well. An additional city service we have is our free curbside composting program, which is available to all households in the city. Next slide, please. I also want to highlight a few cool things about the infrastructure in our city. So City Hall and our service garage have solar panels, and the solar panels at City Hall power a few EV chargers, which are free to use at City Hall. We have a few locations within the city where you can rent bikes, and we're also working on a bike plan to make the city more bike friendly. And there are also some big dreams happening involving a solar field not too far outside of the city limits. Next slide, please. This is a part of the presentation where I applaud our elected city officials for introducing a whole bunch of sustainable legislation. So the first one I'll speak about is our zero waste plan. It was adopted by the city in 2017, and it includes a zero waste goal of 90% reduction to the landfill by 2040. We enacted a single-use plastic ban January 1st of this year. We lifted it due to COVID, and now we're planning some really innovative ways to legally reduce the amount of single-use plastics in our city. And like Columbus, we're also working on clean energy aggregation. Ours will be an opt-out program and does not need to be voted on by the community, just passed through our city council. We also have some changes to our code to potentially allow for front-facing solar panels, maybe potentially, depending on how they look. Next slide, please. And this brings us to the ESAC. It was created by ordinance to assist the city in implementing the zero waste plan and reaching the zero waste goal. It's been an official city committee for about 2.5 years. And prior to that, there was an advisory board working with the city to create the zero waste plan. The ESAC is composed of a group of volunteers who meet together monthly. There are 3 appointed leadership positions. And in addition to concerned citizens, our community groups also have seats at the table, such as the Public Library and the Chamber of Commerce. Green Bexley is the public-facing engagement side of the ESAC. In this regard, we do a lot of education and engagement, as well as advisory and liaison work and advocacy. And this year, we pivoted from our previous flagship events and are working to engage and educate differently than we have in previous years. Next slide, please. That is all I have for now. Thank you everyone so much, and please be in touch. Our website is listed here, and you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Green Bexley. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. That's great. I got some questions for you too, with some recent activity with the band.
Oh yeah.
Going on. Okay, so we'll get back to that in a little bit. We're going to move on to Bill Narodsky. He is with the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency in the Sustainability Unit. So Bill, would you take it away, please?
Thank you. Thank you, Terry. Let's go to the next slide. I'm Bill Narodsky with Ohio EPA's Office of Compliance Assistance and Pollution Prevention, and I am in the Sustainability Unit. So I want to say thank you to MORPC and everyone here today for giving us an opportunity to introduce our new Encouraging Environmental Excellence in Communities Awards program. Next slide, please. The Encouraging Environmental Excellence for Communities program recognizes a community's exceptional achievements in environmental stewardship, and any level of government of Ohio or department in a local government can be recognized for its commitment to environmental excellence. Recognition could be for the community as a whole or for a department of the community, such as the wastewater treatment plant or the electric division, anyone who's pursuing a specific project in environmental or in sustainability. Projects could be for the internal workings of the local government, such as program, or it could be for programs that encourage businesses, organizations, and residents within the community to pursue sustainable practices. So communities that have implemented projects covered in MORPC's earlier sessions today, like improved greenways, adopting energy efficiency, home weatherization, alternative energy technologies, and improving recycling efforts during these challenging times, could be recognized by the 3C program. And we're trying to make it easier to use, so the applications use a checklist format that will be submitted electronically at any time. And the online application process is being developed currently to facilitate the application process. Once the communities that are interested have met the requirements for a level of the program or for level recognition, they simply submit their application for review. And as a community or local government expands its programs, it can reapply for the higher levels of the program for recognition. Next slide, please. So we have 3 levels of recognition that we are going to use, and it starts at the implementation level, and this is for any community or department that has implemented some sort of environmental program. And then we're trying to go up to a higher level for activity, the stewardship level for a community that has completed economic and social categories in addition to the environmental categories. The sustainable level is at even additional economic and social categories with 4 activities at the environmental category. Next slide, please. And so this is a new program. We are developing it as we speak, and on the webpage, this is where it will appear more information. And so we are hoping to see some communities sign on and learn more about the program and apply. We'd love to hear your stories. Next slide. And if you do have any questions, there are currently 3 contacts: Mike Kelly, Frank Basting, and myself. And again, we'd be more than happy to discuss what the plans are. We will send you out a draft of what the program looks like. And we'd love to get your feedback as well. So we'd like to hear from you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Bill. Let's kind of take the opportunity now a little bit to kind of do a little bit maybe more some deep dives into some of the programming. I'll monitor the chat box too to see if they've got some other questions that that we might want to do. But one of the questions that I have, like right off the bat, obviously, in the day of COVID here, you know, how has this impacted your programs? I mean, so Bill, you know, us being able to go out and kind of do community reviews, and I don't know how you look to evaluate who, as you're looking at, you know, giving out excellence awards, obviously, and your programming. How are you going to be able to look at some of the people who do the actual application? How are you going to do that and continue on with the program during a time when you're probably not doing any field work?
That's a great question. We actually have given out our last round of Encouraging Environmental Excellence Awards actually in just the last couple of weeks. And what we end up doing, we still have a paper review for the full Encouraging Environmental Excellence program, which we go through. For this time and until we start going back into the field, we are using essentially Teams meetings and meeting with the community, with our review team, and going through and just asking the questions. And we're kind of, it's not as much information as we gather when we go out in person, but we still are able to go ahead and make our evaluations through using Teams meeting and communication. That's
awesome. That's awesome. David, as it relates to Wyandotte County, how did you even get involved in the green communities there? I mean, what was the impetus for you guys to get involved in that Green Communities program?
Helps to unmute. Let's see here. Well, you know, that's a great question, and you know, really the Green Communities program kind of provided the answer that we needed for a framework for our county sustainability program that was set forth by our leadership and elected officials, I think back in 2009. So, you know, much research went into what other, you know, counties and other organizations were doing in and out of the region. And, you know, and Green Communities really provided the answer that we needed, which was kind of a means to measure accomplishments and sustainability and kind of market those benefits and accomplishments as well.
Yeah. I think I did read someplace too where it has led to actually some other programs that have been a spinoff of like an internship program of some type. I think I was reading something. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I do believe that's the case. There's Green Communities has kind of resulted in a couple of programs that I'm aware of. There is I think it's called the Sustainable Connections Internship Program, which has been great. We actually participated in that a couple of years ago, actually in the year that we were applying for our platinum certification, and it was really great. We had I believe a fourth year student interested, actually an architecture student interested in kind of sustainability, a focus on sustainability, kind of come and join us and kind of helped us with the program and just some of the particulars of some of the initiative, which was you know, a great program. And I know that a lot of other governments that have taken advantage of that as well. Also, the new, I think the new program that's kind of spun off, it kind of builds on Green Communities. It's called the Climate Conscious Communities, which is a new designation which is meant to kind of focus on governments reducing their greenhouse gas emissions, you know, within the government and in their community.
Awesome. I know, Elizabeth, back to the question about ban the bans. I know plastic bags are always an issue because of they're just everywhere. And so what has Bexley done with the ban the band that has recently been enacted?
This week, the governor said that we and other cities that have implemented single-use plastic bag bans are no longer able to charge fees and essentially ban plastic bags. And I was told that I'm not able to spoil the ending of the movie, but what I am allowed to say is that we are working closely with businesses that distribute the most plastic bags to come up with some innovative approaches to curtail the plastic pollution and the use of single-use plastics in Bexley. And there will be more to come later.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. You know, sometimes, I mean, you know, when we're met with those types of challenges, it provides us with innovative ways in which I think we can resolve some of those issues. And in the past, many of the folks that actually, a lot of the supermarkets that were actually using the single-use plastic bags, because there's such a low cost to them to actually obviously purchase, right? They actually had bring back programs and buyback programs where they actually had a bag-to-bag program where the bags were being able to be collected, taken back into, and as a result, they were able to, you know, either get new bags or, but the single-use plastic was going into, you know, structured plastic lumber and things like that. So I think that there are innovative ways in which we can do some things like that, but you know, it takes a lot to get to the point where you have everybody kind of moving in the right direction and everybody moving in the same direction. You know, no one likes litter, obviously, right? But when there are no markets and when something like COVID hits, you know, things just kind of go by the wayside. But I feel pretty confident, I think, that we will obviously be able to find some good alternatives and some good uses. The one thing that COVID has done for us as it relates to recycling and all of that stuff, and the markets, is caused us as a country to look domestically on how we can look at some of these materials and are there alternative uses for us, and we're no longer dependent on foreign countries to be able to take our recycling and to turn it into something else. So, but we still have the challenges, obviously. So we'll get it done. Let me see. Do we have some other questions that are coming in? It's all done virtually here. To Dave and to Elizabeth, and Elizabeth, while I have you here, what benefits have your communities experienced by participating in a regional-wide recognition program, right? Are there benefits to the region beyond your borders?
I think the fact that we are able to collaborate with our neighbors is probably the most beneficial aspect of this. We can learn from them and they can learn from us, and we can implement the programs that they're implementing and vice versa. So we hope that our friends in Morpsey Sustainable 2050 will also sort of take on what we're doing, and we can borrow some ideas from them as well.
Yeah. And don't you think that once you achieve successes that others are maybe perhaps a little bit more willing to take on some of those challenges as well?
Yes, everyone said they were very happy when we banned single-use plastics, when we initiated our curbside composting, and those are now things that other communities are looking into as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How about you, David?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of as to what Elizabeth said, it's there's kind of we kind of a healthy level of competition, friendly. It's always a very collaborative environment. I know that our leadership took a lot of pride in the fact that they could say the county was the first platinum, so kind of good competition there, and more importantly, the collaboration is really been great. A lot of the municipalities within the county have also pursued green communities. In fact, one of our cities is actually a platinum. So a city within Gwinnett County is actually a platinum.
Nice.
And we definitely collaborated with them and mutual benefits there.
Yeah, yeah. So what's next? What's next for Gwinnett County?
Well, we, the Green Communities program is constantly evolving, and they take away, remove outdated credits, or they increase the criteria for credits. So we fully anticipate in our renewal efforts here in the next few years that we'll have some more to do in order to maintain our level of certification, which we're excited for the challenge. Just generally, a sustainable mindset, leadership's attention to it, and we'll see, try to implement as many programs as we can.
Yeah. This is a question both for you and for Elizabeth with your municipalities, but as somebody has written in, and I think that this was probably on my list to ask as well. Sometimes the perception that sustainability can be expensive, that it costs a little bit more to do this. In fact, quite honestly, right now, it might cost you more to recycle than it does for you to dispose of your waste in a landfill, right? How have you been able to convince people that this is the right way? I mean, I know that can sometimes be a challenge and a barrier. So how have you been able to both you and Wyandotte County and in the city of Bexley with Elizabeth, how have you guys been able to overcome these hurdles for implementation of some of your programs?
Sure. Well, if I think one thing to kind of mention is that, when we started the program, we actually have accomplished and gotten to this level of in green communities without like a sustainability budget, so to speak. It's been done through a multi-departmental committee with just being creative, implementing programs, and capitalizing on projects and other initiatives where we were able to implement things that were more sustainable, energy efficiency things, trying to incorporate that through all the various activities that we're doing. As a general rule, we've always found that that it's part of kind of the good governance. It's good environmental stewardship is encouraged in citizens and staff alike get excited about that and kind of rally behind that and support it.
For us at the city level, there are people who are very excited about sustainability initiatives, so they sort of pave the way on that. But also in terms of our residents, we try to do a lot of education about, even though there is a cost on you potentially to live more sustainable lifestyle, there is also a cost on the planet and humanity as a whole not to. So it's, it's a give and take, which one is more important to you.
Yeah, I would agree. Sometimes it's like short term, yeah, it may cost something, but in the long term and in the end, really, you've realized so much more. We're talking about, energy efficiency. We're talking about, natural resources. We're talking about just so much more. So I think that's right. Bill, let's talk a little bit about Ohio EPA. I know that we've had the E3 program and it's involved into the communities. And I know that, hypothetically, what are you guys looking for that you would like to recognize, or some examples of what you think would deserve, a level of, bronze or gold or silver or platinum or whatever. I know from a business perspective, we've done quite a bit along those lines, but what in the community, what would you guys be looking for?
Well, communities have a lot, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to create this program, is that communities can do so many great things, like just what Bexley is doing here. Hopefully we'll be seeing an application some point in time in the future.
Yeah.
Is The environmental stuff often is pretty easy. Going to a community garden project, going ahead and going to LED lighting, because that actually is a good way of actually helping save money for the community too, just in maintenance costs and energy efficiency.
Exactly.
And just going ahead and even going in providing assistance and allowing, just changing the zoning to allow for alternative energy, or putting your solar on the front of the house or in the back side of the house, you know, things that encourage that. But this program, we want to be more balanced with the sustainability and also address the economic and the social. So we want to see, you know, if there's development of greenways and conservation areas, kind of social programs, regionalization of public water systems, changing the building codes potentially to deal with environmental emergencies, things like that could be one aspect of that social side. And also economic, if you go ahead and have a PACE program or have a buy local program, increasing local purchasing and farmers markets, all these sorts of things to help build that holistic sustainable community are things we want to be able to recognize and then share, not just in the region, but also statewide, and say, hey, these are these organizations, these communities that are doing these great things, and perhaps it can be a role model for other communities.
Yeah, get them to implement their own, right?
Exactly.
And that's the obvious goal there, right? Yeah. I'm starting to get some questions here, and I'm gonna, it looks like this is coming in, and this is probably gonna be aimed a little bit at David and Elizabeth. And one question is, how do you deal with the contamination of recycled materials in your communities? That is a huge, huge problem.
That is a problem in Bexley, Ohio, but we are working very hard to make it not so much of a problem. Bexley outsources its recycling and trash pickup. So ultimately, we are not the people who pick up the trash and recycling or sort it or anything like that. But we do still work to try to reduce contamination. So one of the things that we have done this past spring and summer was to deliver a notice to all households in the city about what can and can't go in the recycling bin. And also I leave some reminder notes if I am perusing the streets the night before pickup, if you know something is overflowing out of a toter, or if there are unbroken down cardboard boxes, I leave a very kind letter just reminding residents of the appropriate way to discard their materials.
Right. Sound like me when I walk in my neighborhood, I'm always looking in the recycling totes. David, how about you?
So yeah, unfortunately, that's a widespread problem with recycling. We're in a similar situation in that we have contracted, contracted hauler services. So, you know, we do our best through education and awareness, but you know, that's unfortunately about as far as we can go with our our involvement.
Yeah. I think education is the key, more so than anything else. And quite honestly, getting it to a level where people understand how their actions, kind of impact, how those recycled materials are able to be processed. So that's a lesson, statewide, I know in Ohio that we still are working to address overall. And there are communities, quite honestly, that do a terrific job. And then there are others that, it's just a very difficult, very, very difficult thing to do. We have another question here. This one is for Elizabeth. Does Bexley use kids that compost innovative organics for the curbside compost pickup?
Yeah, our city contracts with Innovative Organics to pick up the composting, and then it goes to a facility outside of the city to be actually composted.
Good. I have another question, and it says, what about the vast majority of the plastics that is not recycled? I don't know who could answer that. Maybe me, I don't know. I mean, there are you know, part of the biggest issue I think we have sometimes when we're dealing with plastics, everything has that little emblem on it that says it's recyclable, right? You know, and you see the numbers 1 through 7, right? You know, and for the most part, there are some uses for 1s and 2s and all, but at the end of the day, there aren't a lot. And part of the contamination that we are referring to when we talk clearly is when somebody decides that they want to put, let's say, one of those plastic laundry baskets, because that's what I see the most of in my neighborhood, right? In the recycling bin. Their intentions are great because they see on the bottom that there's that emblem on there that says that. The reality of it is those types of plastics can't be recycled. And I think that one of the things that we need to continue to encourage, obviously, is that people, if you don't know, ask someone, ask the city of Bexley. You know, there are always folks that are really there to try to educate folks so that they know what they can do. Most of that stuff, though, is kind of pulled off and discarded. Some plastics can be used for other purposes, but for the most part, that's what yields to the contamination that we're seeing, like the clam boxes that we have when, you know, people get their food, or styrofoam can't be recycled at the present time. So there just aren't programs that are out there. Yes, they are recyclable in some markets, but if we don't have that available to us through the people who service our recycling, then it just kind of gunks up everything for us. But
Hey, Terry,
yes.
could I put in a plug now?
Okay, yes.
Well, Ohio EPA does have the Market Development Grant Program, which we have recently re-announced. And so there is $4 million. It's actually a larger program than that, but market development is one of the aspects. So that is one of the hopes that we can do if we can help create and give money to an organization to help build those markets. Though it's a small amount of money, and for the size of the issue, it's may not have a huge effect, but we do put some money there to go ahead and help hopefully establish some sort of market development.
Exactly.
The other program that we have, though, unfortunately, is not aimed at community and residences, is that when we work with businesses, we have the Ohio Materials Marketplace to help businesses establish that circular economy. And even though it's hard to find for residential plastics, there are industrial plastics that can be recycled, and we help make those connections. And there are actually some very large industries in Ohio that do use recycled plastics, and they're actually looking for 2s and 5s.
Actually, you're right. It's, you know, it's one of those things too. We have processors too that take on these plastics. They take on all of recycling materials, and they sort them out. And some don't have the capacity to be able to sort through the different types of plastics. But, you know, technology is improving every day. And some of these material recovery facilities would be best served, obviously, in looking at some of these grants to be able to get the type of material or types of machinery that they could recover it more. And if they can recover a considerable amount, then perhaps once again, the markets will open up and there can be a better utilization or reuse of those things. So that's good. Let's see, we've got another one. We have another question. Are you all doing anything to conserve and connect green spaces in your communities as part of these programs? So let's go to David.
Sure. Yeah. You know, we are. I mentioned on a previous slide, we maintain and update a countywide green space and open space master plan that the intent there is to plan those out and to conserve that space, and trail connectivity and park connectivity is all part of that plan.
That's awesome. That's awesome. How about you, Elizabeth?
We have a handful of parks in Bexley. Bexley is only 2.5 square miles and we're landlocked.
Yeah.
So we do our best to maintain what we have and also plant trees everywhere we can.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You actually have some good collaboration too. I know with the city of Columbus because of where you are located. There's Wolf Park that's right there.
Yeah.
You know that I think is used a lot by Bexley residents as well. So you know that's one of those things where it's outside of the borders, but clearly you guys are both utilizing that space. And I think that there's lots of collaboration too. Sometimes within jurisdictions, especially when you know the green space is just not there anymore. So that's great. Any other questions that we have from the audience here? These are some great conversations that we are having here. We've got about 10 minutes left in our program here, and I'm looking for some questions. If that's not, I've got probably some more that I'd like to maybe ask David a little bit here. Are there other counties? I know that for the Atlanta Regional Commission, I think that's what, about a 10-county regional program there. Are there other counties that are looking to you for some assistance and perhaps you know, becoming green communities and all? I mean, have you guys been able to offer others some assistance?
You know, we have. Most of our assistance has been with our municipalities that we work with, but actually the program includes an area called kind of New Leaf, which is kind of a pipeline for jurisdictions that are trying to participate in the program, which kind of serves as kind of an introductory into the program, and there's some opportunities there for you know, mentorship, things like that.
That's nice. That's nice. This is a question maybe a little bit for Elizabeth. What cities or counties in Mid-Ohio what are they doing for climate action and resilience thus far?
I know that there are a few communities working for Ready for 100% renewable energy. And Columbus, the city of Columbus, I think we'll have that on the ballot this upcoming election or very soon. And there are a lot of small community groups that are working to make changes in their own municipalities.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not easy, is it?
No.
Yeah.
We try.
Absolutely. So I have one more question here. It says, how do you convince your local municipality that it's worth it to support recycling in public spaces, given the issues with contamination and all of that stuff? How do you convince your municipality to do that?
I don't know, because we've never had to convince anyone in Bexley to recycle or to wish cycle. We've had a recycling program for 30 years. But that being said, there is a lot of contamination. So I think that any sort of program will need a lot of education to go along with it.
Yeah. How about you, David?
You know, unfortunately, I'm not involved enough in the recycle program to probably give a good answer for you there. So I apologize. It's
That's
a program a little outside of my main.
I know. Well, what's interesting about when we talk about, you know, a lot of these sustainability programs is that they can encompass anything and everything, right? You know, and your program, I think, touches everything with the platinum level that you guys have achieved. But I think that it's really, really a great thing that what you guys are doing. Let's say, have you created any programs that recognize individual sustainable champions, employees, residents, anything like that?
We have not done that, but we will be having an entire issue of our community-wide magazine devoted to the ESAC in Green Bexley this upcoming April, and we're intending to highlight some individual families who are environmentally sustainable in that issue.
Yeah. David, how about you?
So we actually were very appreciative upon our last award of the platinum certification. ARC came and presented that to our committee, who worked across all departments. So there was probably 20, 30 staff members who were involved in the application and process, and came and presented that at one of our Board of Commissioners meetings, which was much appreciated. So felt like that was a good opportunity to to show appreciation for all the staff, government staff who had participated in the various programs.
Yeah. Sometimes it just feels nice when, yeah, it's a part of your job, but it really is great sometimes just to get that recognition. Kind of keeps people motivated to want to kind of do more and to continue down that path, right? Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's really very good. Well, look, let's see. I have maybe one more question here. It says, you said earlier that the trees in Bexley are a lesson in reduction. Are there any initiatives in your municipalities for reducing electricity consumption, plastic use, car use, etc.? And that's Bexley, but David, while we're talking, are there any other initiatives in your communities?
For any
reducing electricity consumption, plastic use, car use, etc.
Some of our cities have some programs that I'm aware of. As a county, we have public transit, things like that. But our kind of from a transportation side, I kind of spoke to the our comprehensive transportation plan and our traffic
Yes.
control center, which was there to ease traffic congestion, things like that.
Great.
I'll say that Bexley is working on community solar and also residential pace, in addition to a bike plan for the city, and our single-use plastic bans, which we are working to revise. And the mayor just told me that everyone is going to get a free electric car. And you get a car, and you get a car.
Right.
You can charge them for free at City Hall. He said that was a joke.
I know, right? I get it. I hear him. That is a joke, right? No, I think that's fun. Well, listen, guys, we are kind of running out of time. This has gone by really very quickly. And I've been so pleased with the conversation that we've been having and all today. I do want to thank you, Elizabeth and David and Bill, for agreeing to participate in this panel today. I think that you brought a lot of good information to the table, and that might give a lot of folks food for thought. They can go back and they can look at their programs themselves and within their own communities and counties and regional areas. And, we've got here in Ohio, or in Columbus, clearly we have the Sustainable 2050 program. In Atlanta, we obviously have the Green Communities program that has been exceptionally successful there. And all of it is a look to the future as how we can be innovative in our thoughts and in our activities and in our programmings that we do. And the key point, I think, in this group and in this discussion today was we wanted to say that encouraging excellence in these areas and encouraging programs that choose to recognize those programs that are doing exceptional work are important. And it's important when people are recognized, it oftentimes serves as a motivation for people to continue in these efforts. Sustainability is something that just doesn't go away. It's not something that's just a word. Many of the successful programs that we have today are a result of sustaining that sustainability, right? We want people to continue down the path. We want to be able to see a brighter future tomorrow, and that's making sure that we have a pathway to be able to do that. So I want to thank everyone today for participating, and those folks in the audience. If you have any more questions, I'm sure that Morpsey and folks would love to hear some feedback from the session today. Thank you again to panelists. Thank you again to Honda for sponsoring us. And with that, I think we are completed. Thank you all.